The second principle we wish to be able to discuss tonight about how to be able to deal with knowledge for the sake of the audience is how to be able to deal with difference of opinion when it comes to the pulpit. Now, we mentioned earlier on, yesterday and today, that the prime problem with knowledge is what? Not knowledge itself, is the enmity that is used in delivering knowledge. بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. So now this is not a fiqh issue. This is a moral issue, isn't it? It's an ethical issue. When someone delivers to you knowledge with a bad niyyah, or someone does it for the sake of power, or trying to make my marja greater than your marja, or for the sake of division, this is a moral problem, isn't it? There's an ethical problem sitting within that person or within the audience. Therefore, if there's a moral problem, what's the solution? It has to come from a moral solution. The only way we can deal with ilm, which is couched in baghyan baynahum, can be responding to it with ilm, which is the opposite. It's not done with baghin. It's actually done with goodness. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and this is very important. Please pay attention to this, especially my Khoja brothers and sisters, may Allah bless you, because this is my primary audience I'm speaking to. In this Muharram just gone, on the 12th, 13th and 14th of Muharram, in AIM, Ahlul Bayt Islamic Mission in London, in Muhammadi Trust, a wonderful scholar by the name of Sheikh Farrukh Sakal Shafar was invited to come and recite in English. He spoke about a very interesting topic, which is the fiqh of migration, the fiqh of hijrah. And he argued the following: you are living under a taghuti system. It is not permissible for you to live in this country, and you are obligated to migrate to an Islamic country. There is an ideal Islamic country that you are obligated to migrate to, but there are others which, if you cannot go there, you should go to whichever Muslim country or Islamic country is available to you. Okay? Now, just for a second, imagine that was spoken about from the Khoja pulpit. For the majority of the audience, they will have never heard this dialogue before. They will have never heard that there is actually a fiqh of hijrah, let alone being told you must migrate. And if you don't migrate, there are certain kafara that you have to pay. And he had a 3-lecture series. Now, I'm not talking about the merits, whether he's right or wrong. Yeah, you follow your marja. I'm just telling you firstly that there was this lecture series. Imagine this came in the Khoja community. I will argue, and again, I am responsible for my understanding, but I'm telling you from my experience. If this was mentioned, a 3-part series, immediately it would have been, he's dividing the community. He's causing confusion in the community. He's placing doubt into people in the community. That would have been the narrative. And immediately all the WhatsApp groups would have blown up. You would have had all the clips. You would have had the audio clips. You would have had this clip. You would have been a petition for him to be banned and all this kind of stuff. Now, what the audience may not realize is that this is actually a very common, ordinary fiqhi masala. For 1300 years, this mas'ala has been there amongst our fuqaha, Sunni and Shia. And it's actually rooted in a worldview that says that there is something called Dar al-Islam, the world of Islam, the realm of Islam, Dar al-Kufr, the realm, all those countries that are rooted in Kufr, and Dar al-Sulh, all the countries that the Ummah has a peace treaty with, that we're not going to war with them. Meaning, it is permissible for you to live in Dar al-Islam, or rather wajib for you to live in Dar al-Islam, and it is haram for you to live in Dar al-Kufr. This has been there for 1300 years in fiqh. Now, just because the audience has never heard of it, and I'm arguing the Khoja audience as an example, because I've never heard it on a Khoja pulpit before. At my age, I've never heard it on the Khoja pulpit. So I'm going to assume that the Khoja audience doesn't know about it. Imagine you were in that audience. Imagine you're in Hujjat Stanmore, in Haydari, in Birmingham, in Milton Keynes, in Leeds. Sheikh Farooq comes and he gives you this 3-part lecture. Immediately some people will jump. What's he talking about? How can he tell us we've got to leave? Who is he to come and tell us we've got to leave? Brother, relax, sit down. Please. Here it is. It's been debated for 1300 years. It's not an issue. He's not your marja. Follow your marja. Does your marja tell you it's wajib for you to migrate? No, khalas. Does your marja tell you it's wajib to migrate? Yes, okay. No need to jump up and down. It's not confusing. You know why it wasn't confusing? Because Shaykh didn't say it with baghyan bainahum. Shaykh Farooq, may Allah bless him, said it with care and concern. His belief is that it's haram for you to live here. And if you live here, there are certain conditions for you to live here. It's a whole conversation. I'm not going into the merits of the argument. I'm just telling you about this lecture series that occurred. Because he narrated it with care and evidence, people walked away appreciative that they're being challenged. Allah is my witness today. I had several people from Leeds communities at home, the youth. I think we discussed this lecture for an hour and there was different opinions. There must have been 5 of us sitting there. Different opinions. One went this way, one went that way. Yes, we maybe should think about leaving. No, what do you mean we have to leave? What kind of... I'm telling you, I've had this conversation now since Sheikh Farooq's lecture with people in London, people in Manchester, people in Leeds, and every one of us managed to have the conversation in an honest, with integrity and appreciation for the other side of the opinion. You know why? Because it was delivered without baghyan bainahum, and it was discussed by the audience without baghyan bainahum. Now in the community, immediately someone will say, we have to ban him. He can't be allowed to speak in our community. He's causing confusion. You don't have to take it as confusion. Understand this mas'ala is there. There are ayat of the Quran discussing this. Did you know this? Did you know there are ahadith discussing this? So rather than think of it as a negative, you are being empowered with knowledge.